Okay. Check, check. Okay, mic is working. All right. When we last left off, I was gonna be doing the first edit, which since then I have done. I've got the first edit all together. And now I'm just going through and refining that edit, just kind of trying to hit character beats better. And I'll give you a look at what I mean by that. So the first edit I made was simply just the storyboards placed in the general, order that I want them to be in. So for example, this shot here that plays through, it's essentially 4 seconds of just, sorry, hey Dana, of just seeing our main character staring forward. So what I'm doing now is going into that and just adding some basic posing to indicate what the animation is going to be doing, maybe what the camera is going to be doing a little better. So stuff like that. For example, the first shot was just looking over the cubicles in the first edit, and now in my second edit, I just stuck a couple images on some primitives in Nuke and then moved to camera, so we get a better sense as to generally what it's gonna look like. I mean, obviously the perspectives, it's just meant to be an indication of what's going on. So, yes. Oh yeah, but this is supposed to fade in, so let me do that. But the idea right now is just kind of building something so that I can get a sense for what the pace of the piece is going to be. So that way when I get into doing key art, the colors, all that, I've already got the movie pretty much made. Now, after that, all I've got to do is just make it look good and then get it moving, right? So it's just building a roadmap for myself. So this will be the next shot that I tackle. Essentially what's going to be happening is at the beginning here, when it's just a still on the screen, this is going to be a CG environment like in Maya, and she's animating. That's what she's doing here. That's the cat running on the wheel in the other room. She has a running wheel. It's her life, and she enjoys it. She's an animator, and she's going to be animating her own monster movie on the screen here. And what's interesting is the whole short is in 2D, but what she's working on is going to be in 3D. But there's going to be like just a slight push in forward, so I got to get things like the screen, the desk, the cubicle walls behind the desk, all that in 3D space. So as we push in a little bit, there's parallax. And then we move into this reference image she's got just kind of taped up on her computer monitor. And that will fade into a memory. So we're going back in time when she visited her father, who was a monster suit performer on set. But what we can do right now for this shot is get it all set up in Nuke, so it's a little bit less weird than just transferring through all these storyboard images. It also gives me a nice setup in Nuke for after I get all the artwork done, then I can just place that finished artwork inside the setup that I've already created in Nuke, and it's good to go. Like, you pretty much just do some image finaling and then hit render. So essentially this would be, if this were a 3D pipeline, this would be the layout phase. So we go from like animatic to layout. So this is kind of the in my own weird 2D process, it's the layout portion of that. So I've got this shot selected up here in Premiere, so I'll just export that as a JPEG sequence. I'm not going to really use it as anything, but just kind of timing. And this shot is AFT01, I think. Is it? Maybe not. Oh, it's BFR03. Okay. How did I handle that before? I never remember what I do before, so I have to jump into previous shots just to see. I made nuke. Rough sequence. Okay. BFR 3. Nuke. Ref sequence. Okay. And this is BFR 3. Then we'll export that. All right, and it is out into the wild. So now we can see just how many frames we've got to work with in the sequence. So it's frame 0, 3671. So we've got 672 frames. And before I do anything in Nuke, I'm gonna want to split this storyboard image up to use in Nuke. So first things first, we're gonna go into Photoshop. And we'll open up the original board, doodly-doo. Okay, then I'm just gonna chop this up into some PNGs. The reason I use PNGs is because I don't have to mess around with alphas. The way alphas work in Nuke has always been a little bit strange to me. Maybe they've changed it since I learned it those many years ago. But I've always thought the way they handled it was kind of really strange. So PNGs are a good way for me to quickly and relatively efficiently in terms of file size, because EXR would be the other one I would use, and those are quite heavy. I don't know if I want to go there yet. Get rid of some of the identifying features here and bring back that desk line. It's like zoop. Yeah. Just bring that. Oh no, what have I done? Okay, I thought I had my own layer. I didn't have my own layer. I had a layer with white stuff on it. Let me make a new layer. Transform, distort. Okay. Cool. We'll just get rid of. Okay. Yeah, whatever. That's fine. This is just layout stuff. Okay, so first things first, background. So our background is going to be, we'll just copy this, and I got to label everything, BG, and I'll just, since this is the background layer, none of it's going to be transparent. So I just got to get rid of all this, blah, blah, blah. Alright, so there we go. Background layer. Success! Next thing would be the desk, I suppose. Always label your layers. If you're not labeling your layers, you are setting yourself up for a sad, sad time. This I know from experience. Hooray! Okay. Where's my magnetic lasso? Why is that on in here? Is it hidden in here for some reason? I bet it is. Come on. Yeah, it is. Why in the world are you hidden in here? Ugh, whatever. Okay. These are the noises that you have to make in order to successfully select something. You can tell I did not create the right noises because my selection did not work as intended. Honestly though, I don't know that you should ever use the magnetic lasso with anything other than the most loose of intentions, simply because it's good for very quickly getting an inaccurate... Oh no, did I forget to resize this whole thing? I bet I did. It's good for getting a really inaccurate selection, but if you're trying to get something very specific, it's not going to give you what you're looking for. Okay, let's make sure the canvas we're working on is 1920 by 1080. It is not. Let's fix that. 80. Okay. Turn that back on. Just scale everything up. Bloop. The only reason this is important, because these are cropped storyboards after all, the reason it's important to get the resolution right now is because I intend to finish up the art and then use the same Nuke setup, once we're ready to actually roll on this thing. And if my Nuke setup is set up for a weird or smaller resolution, then I'm not really helping myself out or saving any time by doing it this way. So, okay, so here's the desk. We've got that. Let's clear the desk off. What you watching, Katie?
Pushing Daisies.
I thought I recognized the theme song. She's watching Pushing Daisies in the other room, which I think is a criminally underrated show. It's one of those infuriating shows in that it was canceled long before it should have been. And yeah, you never really get to find out exactly what happens with a lot of the story threads. Very sad. Okay, and then we'll grab our little... I don't even know what this thing in front of this thing is supposed to be. I guess knick-knack and a humidifier. The reason these are on the desk, because from personal experience, I have seen these on a lot of my fellow artist desks and have had them on my desk in the past. In terms of knick-knacks, back when going to the studio was a thing, I had my little Michael Myers action figure and Mavis from Hotel Transylvania, all kinds of Halloween lights and black lace with spider webs and stuff draped all over my office desk. It was quite the setup. And because we're staring at screens all the time, a lot of people use humidifiers, and I had an essential oils thing just to make it, smell decent. Just call this knickknacks. Okay, so here's something I haven't been doing with my Photoshop layers, just so you don't get turned around in Nuke when you import all this, all these layers as separate files. You should also label the depth. And the way I do this is I'll put _L for level, 0, 1, 0. So 10 is the furthest back, and so then the desk, which is the next level closest to us, underscore L020. So you see how that works. The reason I don't go up one at a time, and I don't start with 1, I start with 10, is so if I decide there's something further back than the background, I've got numbers to work with, and if I want there to be something between layers, something that's added, I have numbers to play with between those two as well. So that's just kind of how I don't know, I've got like a naming convention I use personally just because it makes the most sense to me. You know, obviously do whatever makes the most sense to you, as long as you can step away from your project for like, I don't know, a month or so, and then come back to it, and you know exactly what you were doing when you left off, and it's not an undecipherable mystery. That's the real danger, especially when it's a personal project, because you might not have time to work on it all the time. In fact, there might be quite a gap, so you have to make sure to work in a way that is memorable to you, so you can just step away when you need to, and you come back, it's like you never left. Like you're right there to go. You don't have to decipher some kind of naming convention or folder structure. And that is the reason that I make so many clearly labeled subfolders, and it can be a bit of a labyrinth, but the fact of the matter is everything is very, very clearly labeled and separated, so that if I have to step away, or if I'm working with someone and I need to hand it off to them, they're able to pick it up and see just by reading kind of where my headspace was when I did what I did. So right now I'm separating the screen, make that into its own little element. And the trick when you're putting these on cards in 3D is going to be making sure the base of these line up perfectly with whatever the next object is. So the base of this will have to be on the desk, and it's going to be a little forgiving because this is just a black and white sketch. So if you're getting parallax, which is kind of two objects moving against each other as the perspective changes between white on white, essentially, you're not going to really notice it, but we are going to have to make the 3D aspect a bit more robust when all of this is final art, which is going to have a lot of texture and vitality to it that these quick little sketches don't. That's when that's going to become more important. But for now, we are just setting all this up. You know, I always spell monitor wrong. Is it monitor or monitor? Is it an E or an O? You know what? I don't know. And there is no spell check in Photoshop. At least for layer names, I believe. Now there's other stuff. Should this be like part of the desk? Should I just make this part of the desk? Maybe I will. Yeah, no. Yeah, it should be. So I'm just gonna clip this to that and mask the areas I want to remain, so it doesn't have to be pretty. It's just gonna be this jazz. Do. Wonderful, lovely, 10 out of 10, would select again, wonderful job. Blip, okay. Superior. Cool, okay, so I have this split out. I'll save the Photoshop file, so when I get into the art making, I've got it already set up as a Photoshop file. Always helpful. Okay, now split layers. Okay, this will be and then we'll save this as a PNG because that's gonna, oh no, see, I've already made a mistake. With all of the layers visible, if I save this out as a PNG, it's not going to have transparency. Like, it's just going to be flat. So, blop, you got to save them out one visible layer at a time. Smart, Josh. let's try that again. So this is layer 10. Save that fella out. Next we'll save out our desk. Oh, and the stuff on it. There we are. There's a PNG. Level 20. Okay. Knickknacks. I don't think... Yeah, okay. So I would be more careful with this selection, but there's, at present, nothing behind it, so no worries. Okay. Level 30. And the monitor. Level 40. Okay. And we'll save that. We can close that. Okay. I keep saying okay. Let's open up Nuke and get this cooking. We're gonna bring in those split layers. Now, I don't know why this is happening. Why are you red? Why is the alpha not baked in? This happens to me the other night, and I don't know why this is happening. Let me give it a goog. Like, I know how to fix this, but I don't know why this just started happening. Huh. Okay, well that's a little frustrating. But, like I said, I know how to fix it. Whatever. Okay, so how you fix this, because for some reason, it's just information in the red channel. We do have our alpha, which is, you know, cool, I guess. So we want to throw a shuffle node down into the node graph here. Okay. And we're just gonna put all of our color channels into red. Like, it's a good thing there's no color information in this. This might really be a problem later on. I'm gonna have to figure out why it's doing that. Let's try making a read file. And then grabbing that stuff through Nuke's interface instead of just dragging it in. Maybe that'll change something. So if I grab one of these, open. Nope, still red. What the heck? Okay. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I suppose. So I've just copied and pasted that channel, and you can see for some reason it's not pre-multiplying either, which is just a great thing. Things never work the way you want them to all the time. So I'll just put a pre-mult at the end of each one. Get a pre-mult, you get a pre-mult, you get a pre-mult, and it's doing something weird with the alpha where it's not how I remember making it. So before the pre-mult, I'll just throw a little erode on there. I really shouldn't have to be doing any of this normally when I do it this way. It just kind of works, but you know, not this time. And that's absolutely gonna be an issue in the future. Okay, and press S to access the settings for this project. 24 frames per second, correct. Full-size format, not correct. This is should be 1920 by 1080. Cool. Now, how long is this shot? This is why we exported that reference sequence. So we will drag the reference sequence into here and see how many frames are in it. 0 to 671. So 0 to 671. Oh, it picked it up already because we brought this in. And because we have this in here, we'll know what beats we need to hit when, because we've got this rendered out of Premiere, which is very helpful. So what do? Well, we got to build this in 3D. First, let's throw down a camera. Lovely, we have our camera. Next, we'll need some cards. You get a card. And we'll bring in project 3D nodes. We'll attach the card to the bottom of that. We'll attach the little camera handle to the camera and the little handle at the top to our image, just the first image. Now let's look at this in 3D space. Okay. So here is our lovely camera. Normally it would matter, these camera settings would matter in terms of like the focal length, the aperture, all that stuff. However, since these are going to be painted images, all the lens work is going to be done in painting, so we don't have to really care about that too much here. I believe. I could be totally wrong, but that's my understanding. So let's make this card a little bigger, and that was too big. We went too far. We should be ashamed of ourselves. Still too far. Oh man, I hit all the buttons. Good stuff, good stuff. Why hit one button when you can hit them all? Okay, alright, so you see that camera is projecting almost like a flashlight shining onto a wall. It's projecting that image right here, which is kind of nifty. I'm going to make a scene node. And what a scene node allows me to do is just essentially plug anything I want into it, so I can look into this one node and see all the geometry that I'm going to be creating. So, because I gotta put all this stuff in the same scene, you see. So next, the desk, and our desk is gonna be flat, or mostly flat. It's gotta be flat-ish. So, and it'll be kind of close to the wall, but not right up against it. Yeah, like about that. I think that's pretty good. What do you think? I think that's pretty good. We'll make it a little flatter, just a little flatter. Let's not get crazy. Let's not get crazy. I think that'll be fine. So that way, when we move in, you get this sense that it's like, I don't know why the background's disappearing. You get this sense that it's like below you a little bit. Okay. Now let's toss these knickknacks in here. Oh, but I didn't want to copy that card. I wanted to copy the wall card because the knickknacks should be more or less standing up straight on the desk. Okay, now we see they're part of the wall because we are using the same geometry. And we'll just we'll tilt it slightly so they have a little bit of an angle. And now you see where the bottom of this, here, let's make this smaller. You see where the bottom of the card, bleh, made it too small. What have I done? The humanity. Where the bottom of the card starts to intersect with the desk, and I'm okay with that. You don't really want that to happen, but you know, whatever. This is just for sketching purposes, but we want it to kind of stick, because if we go like this, yeah, see the bottom sticks. There's no parallax. Where you see how the edges interact with the desk as we go up and down, that's parallax. So that's why we break it out like this, so that if you decide to move the camera a little bit, you get that play between these objects. So you see the desk versus the poster. As we move up and down, that relationship changes. So that's why we want to just kind of split it out a little bit into 3D. Not because it's going to make it look 3D, but because it's going to give it that little extra edge of interaction, which I think is going to sell it in terms of the audience believing they're in a world which exists in some form. Not realistic, but realistic to the world in which it is presented. And that looks about right. Okay, cool. That's fun. I think we're ready to put a camera in this and do a little camera animation. Sound good? I think that sounds good. Glad you agree. Let's do this. Okay, so we're going to copy this camera because we want the shot to start from the same perspective we're seeing now, or we painted it from. We want the shot to start from the perspective we painted it from. That's more accurate. And we will throw in something called a scanline render. Essentially what this is, it's just going to look through that camera and interpret what we're seeing. So it's just a renderer. Reformat. And one thing I did forget to do was put the image on this screen. So we're going to jump back into Photoshop and we're going to do that. And the cool thing is, if we give it the same name, we just have to refresh this node here and it'll update. I mean, I don't know how cool that is. I feel like that's pretty expected, but, you know, whatevs. Okay. And let's open the shot that has that. So I believe it's one of the aft shots, maybe aft 1. Yes, that's our boy. Hello. Drag and drop. Okie doke. And yeah, you'll be in there. First thing I want to do is get the screen selected. So, oh yeah, cool. That's what happens when you have the wrong layer selected. Hey, so much better. Wow, I'm a genius. Okay, we'll put that in a group and then put a mask on that group so that way we can move this around inside there. And it's not gonna mess us up too much. Cool, cool, cool. Wicked sweet. Okay, let's save that out again. Okay, well first we'll save overall, then we'll save the PNG. Save as split layers. Pinga. Cool, cool, cool. That's why I just figured it out. That is why the PNGs are being imported as red. It's because in Photoshop, apparently, for some reason, instead of working in RGB, I am working in black and white. I'm working in grayscale. That makes so much sense. Okay, so that's not going to be an issue in the future. It's really not going to affect us too much right now, but it's going to be mildly annoying. I can fix that by just going to image mode, changing that to RGB color. It's going to say, hey, do you want to merge everything? And I'm going to say, no, are you crazy? And then boom, literally nothing changes. And if I re-import it, it'll be fine. But what's done is done. We won't worry about that right now. We're just gonna refresh this file. Plop. Hey, look, it's our little thing. Oh, that's wonderful. Wow. Okay, save. I don't know why I'm talking like that. I don't know why I do half the things I do. I apologize. Please forgive me for being an absolute weirdo. Or don't, you know, normal is for normal people, as the famed philosopher Timmy Failure once said. Let's save this nuke file. Good idea. We'll make a new folder. We'll call it scripts, because for some reason, nuke files aren't called scenes or files. They're called scripts. Like, okay. BFR 3 version 1. Wow. All right, now let's do some camera animation. Now to make sure I am matching up with what I wanted to do in the edit, I am going to look at both of these at the same time. So this is from the edit. This is from our nuke setup. I'm gonna change the drop down to wipe. And we can wipe between the two, but I don't want to do that. I actually want to see both at the same time. So I'm going to move this little widget so it's right in the middle so I get to see both. So now you'll see as I scrub through, the Premiere JPEG sequence export is moving while the Nuke script is not. Well, well, well. Okay, so when does it start moving? It starts moving right around the 100 frame point. So let's go from 0 to frame 100. We're just going to push in very, very, very slowly. I think that's the ticket. And then we're going to start a motion from there. So maybe we translate in Z100. That's backwards. Negative 100. Did that do anything? Let's wipe off that. Just look at our Nuke script. Oh, what is going on? This is a bad. Okay. Are we moving in at all? We are. We're moving in very, very slightly, and I think that's what we're going for. So. Okay. Cool. Okay. So wiping back, so we see both. It looks like from frame 100 to frame... Hello! Okay, let me... And we're back. No, you weren't going crazy. I did mute my mic. Why? I'll never tell. Anyway, I'm just continuing to animate this camera. And another thing this will tell us is how much... wow, I just blanked on the word. Overscan, that's what it's called. Overscan is a term that refers to footage that is off screen. So, for example, if you shoot something in 4K and then you crop that shot down to 1920 by 1080 to, I don't know, maybe get a better composition or something like that, the footage that exists but is not shown on screen, that's cropped out, is called overscan. Why is that important? Well, for our purposes here, as you can see, there's black around the edges. And this is happening because, well, we're essentially moving the camera farther than our picture exists. There's nothing above here. So when we get to our actual painting, like when we've decided this is exactly what we want the movie to be, we're good, we're locked, now let's paint some key frames. I'm going to have to paint maybe 100 or more pixels in each direction on this side, so that at the end of the day, we won't be seeing this. It'll continue. I don't know. That wasn't a great explanation. I apologize. Do forgive me, audience, which may or may not exist. Okay, so this moves, and then we just kind of continue to slowly push in on it. So we'll mirror that. And what's great about this is this camera that I'm currently animating. So essentially the shot is going to transition from this reference photo taped to her screen to the memory she's recalling of when she's a child visiting her father on set. And we have this camera now. This camera exists. So in both shots, we'll be using the same camera, and we can probably do some pretty fun transition stuff between the two shots. that if we weren't using like a physical CG camera would be kind of hard to match up. As you saw in my attempt at matching it up just with the storyboards in Premiere, like it would be more difficult if we didn't have these CG cameras. And honestly, I don't know if splitting it up the way I did is really going to give us much here in the way of parallax, just because it's mostly a push in, so the change is going to be negligible. But like I said, it's essentially black lines on white screen. I think it'll read as more of a physical move when we have all kinds of texture and color going on. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just caching it just so I can get a decent preview of how this is going to play in real time. And I do think that initial push in it's maybe too much. Like, we don't want the camera moving all the time, because she is going to be moving stuff around on the screen. Like she's going to be animating this creature. Oh yeah, you do see some parallax. That's fun. Yeah, so I think I'm going to tone that way down. Yeah, okay. Let's bring that back to 0. Why are we doing that? That's 0. Back to 0. Maybe that's what it takes. Maybe that's enough. And now we cache. And while that's happening, I'm going to close Photoshop again. Yeah, so today up here in Vancouver, we're getting a lot of the smoke from the wildfires on the west coast, southern west coast. And it just kind of blocked out the sun and made everything look really yellow and nasty all day. It makes the world feel a little more apocalyptic, and not in a particularly exciting way, more of a very 2020 way. so it's been, and I mean, like, I don't know, I can't really complain. It's not been, certainly not as bad for us as the people actually living in areas hit by those fires, so this is a pithy complaint. Let's see if that initial 100 frames is too much. No, you actually barely feel it, so that's nice. Yeah, I think that's much better. That's much better. So it's a very slight push in. Okay, and now we're starting to feel it. I think that's good. I think that's good. Let's keep caching. Let's keep on caching. Call me Johnny, because I'm gonna cache. No, that was bad. Let's not talk about that ever again. Hi, Dana. That's my cat. Dana. Dana. Hello. Hello. Come here. Come here. Want to say hi? No, she wants to go in the closet. That's what she wants to do. Good stretch. Still caching. The exciting life of making a film. Yeah. Are you excited too? You love caching? Well, I'm gonna close this closet up because I don't want you getting up in that stuff. Come here.
Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Oh, you're so cute. Come here. Come here. Hello. Hello. No, no, no. Don't climb me. Don't want to be climbed. Hey, 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 hey. Don't climb me. Don't climb me. Don't want to be climbed. I don't want to be climbed.
Please do not pierce my flesh with your claws. Say hello to the world.
Hello, world. I am super cute. I am super cute. Are you super cute?
There you go. Oh, hi, Bubba. My other cat. Hey, Winston. Come here. So many cats. So many cats. Hello. What you doing? What you doing, friend? Oh, she wants to leave. Okay, goodbye. I did just kind of crush her dreams of climbing up into the closet and knocking stuff over. Terrible person. Terrible. Terrible. Okay, so now it's playing back in real time. So we get that slow beginning because right now we're acclimating to the fact that she's working in 3D on her computer. Okay, the focus is like shifting to the picture, and about now it'll start like transitioning from the picture into the reality of the picture. I think this final push we might need a little more rotation in order to bring this to level. So let's do that. Previous keyframe. Okay. Final keyframe. So what if it was at 20? Maybe that works. That might work. That seems level-ish. Seems somewhat level. And we're sort of centered. Sort of kind of centered. Good enough for government work. I don't know. I'm not Wes Anderson. I don't believe in center. Let me just catch this final part just to make sure the additional rotation isn't too much. But yeah, so essentially this is what I'm going to do, shot by shot, through the rest of the storyboards. When it needs to be broken down into a 3D camera move, I'm going to do that. When it doesn't, I'm going to add some character beats, some key poses, even just in the sketch, to give the edit more of a feeling of what it's going to be like in the final. Because the idea right now is not to get a finished product, but to really nail down the pacing and the rhythm. That's the same thing. I just use the same words because I like to hear the sound of my own voice. I really don't. I hate it. Yeah, you know. It's a good thing nobody watches these things. Okay, yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's good. I think that's nice. So it'll be transitioning anyway. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Okay, so let's render this out. Drop a right node. We're gonna change this to RGBA just because. And we're gonna. What did we render? How did we render this before? It was. Render version 1, I guess. And then just. Let's copy that. Render version 1. And this is BFR 3. What does R1 mean? Render 1. Aha. I understand now. %D. %D just means name each frame off of, the frame number of the timeline. So let's do that. No, I think just RGB will be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine. 0 to 671. Okay. Then it begins. So that's going to happen for the next 5 or so minutes. Essentially, I've got the rest of this short film to work through. This is, I believe, the longest continuous shot. Yeah. So it'll just be a matter of refining and adding. I think this is a pretty long shot too. But stuff like this will be a lot more easy to figure out what you're looking at when it's done through this process. So yeah, so it's just going to be a matter of getting some more of these in betweens, getting it a little more polished. Yeah. That's essentially where I'm at the moment. If you have any questions as to my process or suggestions on what you want me to talk about or show next, I'm just going to keep going step by step. But if you want more explanation about any step in particular, let me know. Leave a comment if you can. I think you can after the live chat. But yeah. Stay safe. Don't get COVID. Don't get caught on fire. Please. Seriously.